flying through this as quickly as I can today. This is going to be a pre-recorded live stream at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am doing this a little bit before then. I've got an AMA that I have to record real quick, but I want to give you an update on what is going on with Terra Luna. The price action, we're going to run this live, and we're going to get an idea of where we're going, what's happening here, and how this is going to play out. So first of all, what you see on your screen is the DXY. DXY, as you can see, is coming down. If you don't know what the DXY is, that's representative of the strength of the US dollar. The lower the US dollar, the higher cryptocurrency goes. You can see here Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in a trading channel that's probably not favorable. This purple line right here is a huge support line. This blue line right here has been a resistance line. You can see it's bounced around resistance. This is this red one right here, very hard resistance line. So Bitcoin in itself has not pumped over this for a sustained amount of time. You can come back here and you can look for months and months and months and months and months. And you don't find that Bitcoin has gone over this blue line. Now, if we want Bitcoin to make a move and we want something positive happening with Bitcoin, then we are going to need to see this thing make a move up here right about now and get over it. Now, we don't have, we're going to mint a daily candle that's going to be below the close, which can be a very bearish and bad sign overall. What we needed really was this line right here, and we needed to close up in this space. Now, if you're closing at midnight, like some of these exchanges do, midnight is a little bit further away, but I don't think there's very much that we're going to be able to do. But we're going to need, if we do a big move, then maybe we'll get there. But that applies to Ethereum, applies to everything. The entire market is kind of based on that move right there. You can see here from this morning, we were at about 895 billion. We're up to 913 billion right now. So we're up 28 billion. And that 28 billion is a pretty good number to start off our evening. If it continues to pump, then we might just see a turnaround in the market. There are about 5 bullish looking signals. Now, how does that all apply to Luna Classic? Well, when the DXY was pumping, Luna was pumping, and that seems to have done a full-on reversal. Now, we need to talk about a few things that are going on in the Luna Classic verse right now. Number one amongst them is that Lithosphere.ai has agreed that they will allocate 50 to 100 million to burn up to 2.5 trillion Terra Luna Classic in finesse games. And guys, that sounds like a lot, but let's pamp the brakes on this just a little bit, and let's recognize that what they're saying here is they are willing to burn up to 2.5 trillion. Lithosphere, the finesse NFT warriors include 100,000 unique characters in 5 rarity categories in the Genesis Samurai Collection. Characters will be divided equally among male and female, also into 5 rarities. Lithosphere core developer also announced that it'll implement Terra Classic as one of the networks in the upcoming cross-chain play-to-earn game. If Terra Classic is implemented in the game, all Luna Classic used in the game would be burned during the gameplay. Now, question is, when is the game going to launch? Because right here it says the initial offering for private sales goes live on October 1st. So at this point, it just sounds like this is an advertisement to get you to buy into this token and get involved in this early. And to be fair, every game should be doing the same thing right now and offering you the same thing, because there's a giant community, and this giant community, if I told you I was going to burn 2.5 trillion tokens, then I'm sure you would buy the INO of my game as well. So I don't think that this is something that we were entirely looking for. It's great to have. It's great to see. We do want to implement it. We do want to have it, but we're not going to burn 2.5 trillion there. We're not going to burn 2.5 trillion because 2.3 trillion is held alone by Binance. So that's not going anywhere very soon. So that's not really the move that's going to separate us from anybody. But we also have to go back here and look on this price action. This price action shows that we've gotten out of this pennant that we were talking about. Now, I told you earlier today, we had kind of moved out of the pennant, and we are now trending a little bit sideways with a bump to the upside. Now, that being said, there's always a possibility, guys. Listen, and I want everybody to understand here. We had less supply circulating by just a little bit, and we got all the way up to almost 306, right? That being said, we can do that certainly again, especially with the momentum going about us tracking where we were tracking. Looks like a pretty good number. And when we come over here and we look at what our trading volume is right now, 461, still down pretty good, but the market cap starting to rise, the market's starting to rise, right? So, and you can come over here and you can look at the volume. You see 2.5 billion has been burned so far, 1.78 million of USTC has been burned. Now, it's time to start talking about the real deal here. And there's been several discussions. First among those discussions was to move the USTC down to about a 250 million supply. And when we look at that, we want to duplicate this window here, and we want to look at that real quick. When we look at USTC, what we see on this USTC is about a 9.8 billion supply of tokens, which is way too many. I want to get that down to 250 million. In order to do that, the first proposal up was to give everybody Luna Classic based on the current scenario. So that means that we would take about 9.5 billion USTC and convert those to Luna Classic. Now, in order to make that happen, we would end up having a supply of 7.7 trillion tokens. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say billion. We would have 7.7 trillion tokens, because that's going to be over 700 billion brand new tokens. That's a huge amount. So the question is, how do we burn? So a lot of the discussion's been had in the last little while, and the discussion is evolving over time. First, that was the initial discussion, which was to get the supply down and then to collateralize about $250 million worth of Bitcoin and use it as algorithmic, and continue to do kind of what we were doing with about 4 different little stop gaps in the way that would prevent the same cascade of downside that happened before. So that you can see right here doesn't appear to be part of the roadmap. And we did talk about this roadmap. We're going to talk about it one more time, because here we are. We're going to disable the market swap. We're going to disable the market swap because, let's face it, there's no use for the market swap right now other than to swap between tokens, which we're not even really doing. I have once swapped my UST into Luna Classic, and I could do that anywhere, so I'm not really worried about it. But the first step is going to be, we're going to upgrade to Vanilla Cosmos. So just so you understand, Cosmos is the blockchain infrastructure that Luna Classic basically is. Okay. Then we're going to upgrade Tendermint to version 0.34.x, and that's because we don't have a number for it yet. It's just going to be the starter, basically be 0. But if there's any change anyway. So they're reworking the underlying Cosmos Tendermint skeleton. Now, Cosmos, basically the blockchain, Tendermint is the infrastructure of the blockchain that's built into Cosmos, right? So then we've got, and this is all Q4, by the way. So, and we're in Q4 in 2 days. So this work is already either started, will be started, or is about to be started. Now, the upgrade to CosmoWasm 1.0 is going to happen as well. Going to happen after these things are done. Then we're going to assess a burn tax. Remember, that was 40.95, I think it was, or was 40.80. And we're going to be assessing a burn tax of 35% of the fee transactions, 10% going to the validators. Also, by this point, we should be able to add more and new validators. Also, begin work on the version 2 algorithm. The version 2 algorithm, this is where we start to get a little bit interesting here. Solidify the plan around an algorithmic fungible token. Fungible token is a transferable token. Algorithmic obviously means that there's going to be an algorithm to keep it pegged to $1. Now, the conversation is that we don't want to use the definition, the exact definition. We're going to get to quarter one of 2023 in a second, but the whole idea here is the algorithmic fungible token is basically, look, a fungible token is a coin, basically. Luna Classic is a fungible token, right? A non-fungible token is a non-tradable that that you have to like sell, right? So that's going to be your like NFTs, stuff like that, your digital art at this point, or your contracts, as it were. But algorithmic fungible token just basically means that we're going to be taking that algorithm, we're going to be creating it into a token or coin that will then be basically, it's describing USTC. USTC is already an algorithmic fungible token, just so everybody understands that, right? So we're going to be solidify the plan around an algorithmic fungible token, which is going to be that. Now, what we are specifically doing, and you will notice here, we are not saying that there is going to be a repeg to USTC as if it is a stable coin repeg. So what that means is it's still going to happen, but we're going to move on and we're going to stop calling it that. This is just going to be something that there will be a system in place, but it will not be listed as a stable coin, with the idea being that we're going to peg it to the dollar, but it's not going to be pegged as if it is stable. It's going to be pegged because that's what Luna Classic needs in order to help and assist it burn. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I hope I did explain that to you right. Testing, validation, and security audit of the chain upgrade. That's Cosmos, Tendermint, Cosmowasm. That's getting all of this stuff, making sure that it's all working before the next step. With the next step being to upgrade the chain with parity with Luna version 2. Now, one of the reasons for that is, of course, because there are multiple validators that are working on both chains, and having interoperable chains is going to be paramount to us getting back up and functioning and working, right? So we're going to get support dApps with Cosmowasm upgrade. That's going to allow us to start creating reasons for people to be investors, which we do not have currently. This is right now, we're just a pie in the sky sort of meme token coin, if you will, that it just is kind of floating out here with a huge amount of supply that we're trying to get a pump out of by burning and reducing the supply. But what we want is functions, dApps, for example, Meta Rivals, which is one of the games that we're talking about. This lithosphere game that we're talking about, these things built in this blockchain, using this blockchain, those become the reasons for us to exist. So you're going to start seeing the development of these apps that will be working in the Cosmowasm system. Repeg, the algorithmically fungible token. Again, Q1 2023. We originally talked about this, it was December of 2022. Now we're pushing it forward to Q1 of 2023 to make sure it's tested, make sure everything works right, make sure everything is working the way it was intended to work. Then deploy the APS module into production, establish new capital controls on the algorithmically fungible token. And what that means is we're going to establish new capital controls. And the capital controls, remember, we have 4 breakpoints. So what we're talking about is establishing a line that says right here that we're going to do like a sum check of some sort to ensure that if somebody's trying to sell a huge amount of the supply, which they will not be able to hold more than a specific amount of supply, right? Because the purpose of this new algorithmic, this new AFT is not going to be pegged to the dollar. It's going to be, but that's not going to be its purpose and its function. Its purpose and its function is just going to be to help Luna Classic continue to burn more tokens by doing that. So algorithmically, what it would do, like in essence, let's say you wanted to burn some of the tokens. Like if you wanted to sell some of the tokens, you sell some of the tokens, and then the money used from selling the tokens goes over to Luna Classic to buy some and burn it. And then when somebody buys more, then we mint more of the brand new tokens up to a certain amount, but you can only have a certain amount. And then that prevents it from ever going up or down beyond what it can do. Long process. I'm not sure exactly how the mechanics are going to work on that. I'm just using hyperbole to explain to you how, part of the buy and sell would work, right? Partially collateralize the algorithmically fungible token. Now that means that we're looking at what if we have about $200 million in Bitcoin sitting there at any given time, just in case we need to cash everybody out of 250 or 300 million. That 50 to 100 million would be algorithmically collateralized with it buying and using Luna Classic in mass in order to stabilize the price. So like that would be the idea behind what they're looking to do right there. So you would need to have some kind of Bitcoin. I think the number was 125 million, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me to that, but I think that might be in the roadmap, or it was in one of the early discussions about what the next step was. So we're going to want enough Bitcoin in order to make sure that anybody who is an investor into this AFT is going to be made whole. That required doing something with USTC, by the way. So then we're going to re-enable the market swap module. That market swap module is basically the ability of the system to swap. Now, one of the best things that I think and I hope that is going to come from that is that we'll be able to trade using the Polygon chain, the Ethereum chain, the BNB chain. Like hopefully there'll be some integration here that will allow us to have multiple exchange swap, which would be great for business, because currently Station only works on the Terra chain, and that's not really enough because there's nothing that you can trade it with by, we don't have anything here because the stablecoin was the selling point in that regard. So that's where we are. And then begin work on new rewards mechanism to increase decentralization for network validators. And then there's going to be more to follow. So you can see right here, there is an outline, there is a plan in place, and it is an evolving plan. What we're seeing today is not going to be what we see 2 or 3 months from now as this thing evolves. We'll see more information, or we'll see some slight alteration of some of the information, with the premise being that we're looking for a way to make sure that that AFT, the algorithmic fungible token, is able to be used as a quote unquote trading pair for Luna Classic, so that it will stay pegged to that dollar, and it will use its ability to algorithmically stay at $1 to induce and continue burning the Luna Classic supply. That is the idea, with the idea getting us to, of course, 10 billion tokens remaining. So that's what everything is looking like. That's where everything is heading. That's where we're going. This 2.5 billion, we don't know how this is going to look in a little while. Again, we're looking at a problem with price action. And the problem with price action is because we currently have, what do we call it? 305 billion tokens that are sitting, waiting to be activated back onto the Luna chain from the 6.9 trillion supply. And we're sitting at 6.595 trillion supply, right? And the issue here is, until the total supply matches the circulating supply, we're not going to see a real run on that token price. So we need all hands on deck, which is why something like this thing that we were doing with Coinbase that was trending today, Coinbase accept luck, those kind of things, we need those to happen, because that will help burn additional supply in addition to what Binance is doing. So we need everybody to start coming together, making these things happen. We get that, then we start burning a lot more supply. Now, guys, if you remember, and it's very simple, it's a very mathematical element here. 462,542,591. So we take 462 million times 0.012. That means that we would be collecting 5,544,000 per day. Now, if we did that every 7 days, with the sole purpose of being to burn the supply, we would then have 38,808,000 in order to burn the supply. So if we did that for 1 week without burning any supply, and then we use that money right now to burn supply, we would be dividing by 0.00028013, which is the current price. And we would be burning 138 billion tokens in a week. So that's at the current level. Imagine, if you will, we had, again, what was the number? 38,808,000. And imagine we had let this price drop down to about 1,800. We'd be talking about 215 billion getting burned at one point. So within 2 weeks of that happening, this number and this number would be on an even playing field, and we would actually start to see the real reduction of supply. Because at this point, when we look at circulating supply, what we have seen for circulating supply is that it continues to go up. A month ago, it was sitting at 6.567 trillion. Today, it sits at 6.595 trillion. So, that presents itself as its own little problem, its own little issue. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to overcome all this. We're trying to make all this stuff not be this stuff. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up right now and let you guys know that these are the things that are being worked on. These are the moments. These are the things that are going to matter. The price action right now, we're going to have pumps. We're going to have moments. People are going to decide pretty soon that they're going to want to pump this thing up because, listen, this is where the money is. Think about the amount of money that was made from here to here just the other day. Think about the life-altering amounts that have been made already from this right here. And the fact remains, there's a lot of enthusiasm. And on a bad day, we're doing $470 million in transactions. So there is a massive thirst for this thing to pop and to make something happen. So I do believe that we're going to see it. It's going to take a little time before it really kind of pushes its way through and works itself out. So hope you guys are still going to be along on the ride with me. This is going to be the video for the night. This is not financial advice. My name is Bleaves. I am always right. And we will see you guys again very soon. And if you have not already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell to be notified of new content, and look for my Starlink AMA. Starlink is one of those big A-rated games, and I'll be talking to them about Luna Classic as well. So we'll talk to you again soon. You guys have a